Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And yeah, you know what, still not the result we'd like last night, but you've been asking for the effort, you've been asking for the compete, you've been asking for defense, you've been asking for everything. And last night the Edmonton Oilers, once again in the back half of a two-game set against the Toronto Maple Leafs, delivered just that. But the problem is, in all that time, you may have missed something that happened in that third period. So with that, if you're new to the channel, take these next 10 minutes about what happened in that third period and consider hitting that subscribe button and sticking around for game coverage tomorrow. Alright, let's get to it, shall we? That third period saw what? Well, there's this quote here from Dave Tippett about Puljujarvi with RNH and McDavid tomorrow. Right, tomorrow we play the Winnipeg Jets. And he said, we'll see. That's out of Dave Tippett this morning, January 23rd. It's Saturday. Compliments Puljujarvi's style of play and says he's been competing hard. Now, what we saw in that pretty much late half of the third period, probably about, I believe, from the 15-minute mark on in the third period, Jesse Puljujarvi played the rest of his shifts up there on the top line with Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Now, this is something everybody has been asking for since Puljujarvi was signed. Now, obviously, is this exactly how we want to see it? No, because the majority of those people asking for Jesse Puljujarvi to be on the top line are also asking for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to be on the second line with Draisaitl and Yamamoto. So, at the end of that day, do you go out there and maybe reconfigure things a little bit? And I think based on what I've seen out of Dominic Cahoon, if you're going to reconfigure things and throw back Nuge to the dynamite line, hold on a sec. Gotta love those cat allergies, guys. Anyway, if you throw Nuge to the dynamite line and then have Cahoon to figure out, I think he's got to go up to the top line as well. Cahoon's been in there buzzing around the net, making great passes, making great plays, shooting the puck, and just not getting rewarded for it yet so far this season. So you talk about somebody else who's been doing that exact same thing, Jesse Puljujarvi. Now, this is where you have to look at Dave Tippett as a head coach. Is he a coach that rewards points and production? Or is he a coach that rewards work ethic and, of course, compete level? And I think we'd all kind of gear based on what we knew of Dave Tippett coming into the last season. And, of course, coming into this year, is he's a guy who definitely rewards. Yeah, he might reward the points and stuff, but the big thing is the work ethic and the compete level. And those are two things that both Dominic Cahoon and Jesse Puljujarvi on their separate lines through 6 games have brought to the Oilers. This specifically geared towards Jesse Puljujarvi, this video, so I should get back on track and talk specifically about him. We've already done that though, right? I raved about him just essentially going to work, getting to loose pucks, getting battles won, and just all around buzzing the net, shooting the puck, and not being afraid to be Jesse Puljujarvi. And I think based on everything we saw out of him when he was in Europe the past year and a bit and to now, and compare that to what you saw his first stint with the Oilers, is it looks like Jesse Puljujarvi back then was scared to be Jesse Puljujarvi. And now all of a sudden you've got him going out there in his ice time and just getting into the offensive zone, battling in the corners, battling in front of the net, trying to find loose pucks, and trying to just create that offense. And again, that assist he got the other night was just perfect place, perfect time. Everybody's all enamored that the Leafs scored a goal off a skate. Nobody's sitting here yelling how great of an assist off the skate that was for Jesse Puljujarvi. Far be it from me to sit here and understand Toronto media. However, end of the day, right, Jesse Puljujarvi is a guy who has earned that top line spot. Obviously, yeah, Zach Kassian, he's had a couple bright spots, but I mean a couple bright spots in 6 games is not enough to keep your top line going, or your top line spot going. Now, the interesting part is, I believe it was Rob Brown on the 6:30 Ched pregame show yesterday that had a quote that really resonates for what Zach Kassian's done early in this season, right? He had that crossbar that went up and out of play instead of going down and into the net. Think about this. If he had scored that, what would we be talking about with Zach Kassian? It'd be a non-starter. He had a great game kind of deal. Now, for Zach Kassian, if he went goalless through 6 games, say from game 28 to game 34, nobody would really question anything. That's the thing, and that's Rob Brown's point. But the fact that he has gone the first 6 games of the season scoreless is why everybody is questioning Zach Kassian. That's kind of how Rob Brown broke it down, and I 100% agree. Only problem is it's a problem of, you know what, yeah, you can think that, and you can defend that way, and it makes sense, right? That is generally how it goes across the NHL, right? Nobody really asks what's going on if you're not scoring a couple games in the middle of the season, but not opening up to scoring, heaven forbid, right? So, yeah, it's tough. But for Zach Kassian, unfortunately, there are more capable available players on the Oilers roster than just him to play in that top line spot. That's the tough part this year, is it's not just your big body, you go out there and you can shoot the puck still. Okay, top line immediately, right? It's not Patrick Maroon, it's not Zach Kassian. No, now you've got Jesse Puljujarvi, who has, is the word pedigree for being a top line player, right? A 4th overall draft pick in 2016. He's a guy who really has the hands, the skill, the body, everything. Not just a couple of check marks that are in Zach Kassian's columns. No, yes, Puljujarvi checks all the columns of what the Edmonton Oilers want out of a top line right winger, and that's the fun part here for Puljujarvi, is if he gets that chance. And let's go back to that Europe thing. Jesse Puljujarvi being Jesse Puljujarvi is the fact that he appears to be a guy who's at his best when he's told shoot the puck whenever you can, get dirty, get grindy, get those pucks free, and of course just be yourself on the ice. And what I mean by that is do everything that makes Jesse Puljujarvi who Jesse Puljujarvi is. Because I'm sitting here as a guy who's never played a stitch of competitive hockey in my life. I don't think I can fully break down for you what it is, the intangibles of his game that make Jesse Puljujarvi so effective like he was in Europe. Now, this is obviously a change of heart from me because I said he wasn't effective enough, but now you see it translate and see how effective he has been without getting points. Is now kind of take this last thought for yourself. Spotlight. Is Puljujarvi was in the spotlight in Finland, and he still did what he did in Finland, almost point per game in the Liga. Now I still am not 100% impressed with that, but again, maybe that's rhyme to reason why we're sitting here. Puljujarvi's only got 1 point through 6 games, but the same rate is when that spotlight's on, Puljujarvi was still able to produce. So now, yeah, he's been on the 3rd line most of the season, other than maybe 8 or 9 shifts all year that he's been with McDavid and RNH. Now, go throw this together and have him play top line minutes for a full game. It would be dang interesting to see what that spotlight does to Jesse Puljujarvi, who is now, once again, thankfully playing Jesse Puljujarvi hockey. So, that's the thing. But again, there's maybe a little bit extra combination to it in the fact that Dominik Kahun may also have to ride up to the top line and allow him to get in there. Because McDavid, you know what? Maybe it's getting stale for him. RNH and him, yeah, they have great chemistry, but it always depends on who's on the right side, and it does not seem Zach Kassian's the guy, but we also know where RNH fits really well into the lineup, so maybe it's that time once again. What have we been missing? Maybe that face-off play. Dry settled the RNH back of the net. Nobody's talked about that play missing out of the Oilers' vocabulary so far in the offense to start the year, but that has been for sure, so it would be nice to see that make a return as well. They try it with McDavid. It's worked once this year, but we saw a stretch of like 5 games there where Nuge and Dry, they'd score, 3-4 goals off a face-off within 5 seconds of the face-off. Yeah, I'm kind of missing that. We kind of need that quick strike offensive face-off power that we had with that line. And again, Dominik Kahun to the top line. Yes, Puljujarvi to the top line. Kellery shocked if that ends up happening. We have more lineup changes potentially happening tomorrow to discuss in a video a little bit later. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've taken the past 8 minutes to sit here and consider hitting that subscribe button, because we got a long season to go, and I'd love to have you along the way for it. I am up on out of here.